Hello, folks. Welcome back to Bards and Books, and welcome to episode 15 of Leveling Up. This is the LitRPG chat that I do with my good buddy Nick, and today we are talking about Book 7 of Dungeon Crawler Carl. This is This Inevitable Ruin. The audiobook just came out February 11th of 2025, and we had to hit it up right away, so we'll get down to it. First of all, I just want to say that we have come to an area or a section of this series that is quite intricate, and this level in particular is just massive in scope, and there's a lot going on. But our quick initial thoughts, what did you think of this one, Nick?
Definitely excited to get back to this series, and just reading this book, I was like, I got to reread this series again because I forgot how good it was, how good the writing is. This is definitely one of their, like, a longer book, and it's almost exhausting hearing it. Like, it's like, oh my god, so much is going on, but at the same time, I'm stoked that it's back. And just to hear more of this story. I enjoyed it. If you enjoyed the series so far, it's another great addition, I think. Definitely longer.
It's the first one that we had to wait for because we just went through from 1 to 6 like straight after the other, and this one took a while. It was going to be a harsh wait, but it's finally here. And I mean, there's a lot to talk about, but my initial thoughts is I was super stoked because this is the 9th floor, right? This is when we got faction wars. We got like the situation with the tiara,
Oh yeah,
Katya and Donut. There was a lot to look forward to, and it was a little overwhelming with like so much intricacy and so many characters and plot threads and stuff happening with all the factions and this entire universe, because so many elements from outside the dungeon are now in the dungeon, right? And we're still dealing with outside elements, so it was quite complicated at times to follow, but it was just like you said, it was just a whole lot of fun being back with the story and seeing it progress. I mean, this is one of my favorite series of all time, so I enjoyed it, regardless.
Oh, it's fantastic.
This is definitely one that I, especially now, want to reread, going back and seeing all the stuff leading up to this, and and just all the characters and all the stuff that went on outside, all the stuff they hinted at. It's like definitely one to make you want to reread the whole series.
Oh yeah, just to kind of get those smaller lore drops that you didn't really. Oh, they mentioned something here that, oh, this is something that's happened in the past, obviously, but I didn't quite pick up. I was like, oh, I feel like that I should know something about that. I don't know. It's been so long, I forgot. I don't know where there's something I should know here. I'm missing it.
Yeah, and it was long. This is it's the longest one, I'm pretty sure. Right? So
I haven't checked, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was long. It took a little while to get through it all, but we are here. And once again, I'm really thankful that they have quick recaps now. That started in, I think, book 6. Was it book 6? It started with the recaps.
Something like that.
Yeah. So we had that epigraph at the beginning where we got a recap where Quasar, Carl's lawyer, is delivering the recap real quick. That was
very
really
quick
fun.
And dirty. And dirty recap. It's like, I don't know, this happened, that was fucked. Very, very, very quick recap.
We're going to try to cover as much as we can. I'm hoping that between you and I, we can cover most of it at least. Because, like I said, this was just an accumulation of pretty much all the characters we've seen throughout the series so far and all the events taking place. So there's a lot to get through. But why don't we start with the prologue? So we get a touching speech from Paulie. This is back during the 6th book, I believe, when they were on Earth, and Paulie's delivering the homeless shelter guy, right? He's delivering the speech.
Yeah. This is where he gets kind of like they're teleporting around the world and doing the Pokemon card / I guess Yu-Gi-Oh card thing, card battles, and they got sent to like I think it was like Tennessee or something. I'm not sure. Somewhere in the South, I want to say, for that Poly thing and the homeless shelter.
Yeah, somewhere.
Not sure.
Somewhere in the south of the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
But this was different. Carl was given this neural enhancement, this Valte built thing that's linked to the AI. I think it's like a fuse that he gets to kill the AI and system leaders and himself, like everything.
It's really early in the book, but I think it's like more of like a fuse, like a bomb fuse, rather than like a computer fuse or like a electrical fuse.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like the shutdown basically makes a star blow up in the solar system, wiping everything out. I think it's just meant to kill everybody that's in the solar system, which would affect all the future crawls,
or at least a lot of the future crawls.
Yeah, basically shut things down. People would lose a lot of money and wipe out all these world leaders. You know, so I think that was kind of like the original purpose, but Carl's try to go deeper than that, I guess. Really take things down.
But if you think about it, would you say that's a bit of a short-term solution? Because, like they said, it would only disrupt like probably a few crawls in the future, and eventually they'd probably be back up and at it, right?
It's very short-sighted thoughts to like just blow everything up, because it's just people will rebuild with vengeance, in their minds.
Yeah, but that was a really high stakes prologue we got there. It's like something to just get you gripped right from the get-go. So so we got that, and I'm also going to go through all the crawler sections that we got in here, because it had many chapters, but it also had many sections that we got like some backstory of former crawlers and random characters here and there. So I'm gonna go through them all here. So and they were pretty much all cookbook holders, like former cookbook holders. So
not all of them are still alive. Some of the ones had just died. But
so we'll start with Porthos, who is the leader of this pacifist NFC network, right? And he was a former cookbook holder, but you see that he took a deal at the beginning of the 11th during his time, and he's got a lot of feelings of guilt and just not knowing the outcome of his friends and whatnot. He was a game guy for like 100 seasons. That was his deal. He built a lot of wealth that way, and his current whereabouts he's missing, and he's wanted by the syndicate.
Yeah, he's taken off into the outer reaches.
Yeah,
I don't know what his plan is. They've kind of hinted at a couple of things, like he might be working for the apothecary or something like that. They might be in league with each other in some way to shut down the crawl, but they're just kind of hinting that, I think, to the future.
Yeah, but he's like a very prominent figure for this rebellion, and he's like leading former crawlers and that kind of stuff.
He was a second edition holder for the cookbook too. So
second edition, wow.
Yeah, so I think he's like the first guy to get the cookbook passed back to him.
Yeah. Okay.
So
we also get Dante, who was a former cookbook holder. He took a deal at the beginning of the 11th. He was a game guide as well. A lot of them tend to be game guides or instructors, but him and Justice Light were being reassigned to, I think they were like fighting crawlers while serving their time, right?
Well, they were, I believe he switched from being a game guide to being like a clerk in the guild. And they're like, oh, we don't need you as a clerk right now. You need to be a, soldier for like I believe they're like a guard for this area. And because they didn't want to spend money on extra NPCs. They're like, well, you guys could be guards. It's like, well, I'm not supposed to fight crawlers. And they didn't have to fight crawlers, luckily enough. They didn't have to kill anybody there, but there was, other issues that happened later. I guess it goes into it when it goes to Justice Light's bit, but yeah, they were just guards, and he ends up, they make him kill a bunch of NPCs, and he won't have it.
Yeah, he refused, and he was killed for refusing to follow orders.
Mm-hmm.
So that was an interesting bit of backstory we got there with a friend of Justice Light, because he is a prominent character in this story.
Justice Light didn't even know that Dante was a previous cookbook owner as well. So Dante is like, I know that he is, but he's just felt bad and not telling him that he was a cookbook holder because he felt like he didn't do enough.
After that, we get Tippett, who is actually, a prominent character here as well, and he was also a cookbook holder. Took a deal at the beginning of the 12th. He harbors a lot of guilt as well for abandoning his friend, right? When they had no one, like his family, when they had no one, and he abandoned them.
Yeah, it was similar to book 6 where they had like the keys to the doors,
right?
And like only one person can take the key. Even if you're with another group, you can only take one person through the door. So it's like, well, you have to choose either me or you.
Yeah,
and he chose himself, but he kind of has brain injuries from his crawl, and I think he's like a crest. Those weird alien guys.
Yeah, but he retired, right? He worked for the waste management system. I think that's how he got involved with this whole Porthos rebellion thing. But
he's the 4th edition too, so he's pretty he's right in the beginning too. A lot of these guys are really early syndicate, early crawls. Yeah,
because Carl is the 25th edition, right? So there have been a lot of cookbook holders before him, and these are just some. There's also Everly. She was Everly's section. I think that was one of the most hard to listen to parts, because she was crushed to death at the end of the 8th level, right? Like at the end, when failing to, because I think she got betrayed by a false sponsor.
Well, it's a regular sponsor, but the sponsor's kind of said oh yeah, made it so that she'd want to go into this tower. Like, oh, they gave me an item to go through this tower, but they're not. The sponsors aren't on your side. They're just there for ad space, basically. And they're they sponsored a dead end.
It was a trap.
Yeah,
and I think the reason why it was so devastating to listen to is because that's the ultimate fear, right? In this crawl, in this story, is not running out of time and not making it to the portal to continue on in the game and go to the next floor, and you get crushed to death because the level collapses. So
exactly. Or having somebody you trusted or you thought you could trust betray you like that, hey, you think these sponsors are here to help you. They're not there to help you. And it's okay, so I get that. Obviously I'm fighting for my life, and these people are paying for sponsorships to not just to help me progress, but to make themselves money. So they're not in it for me. But it was so dark. The crushing fear and the giving up. I thought I'd be fighting to my last breath, but now I realized my mom was right. And I wouldn't have done that. And I just felt the nivel of ruin. And I just sat there and I accepted my death instead of fighting for my last, to my last breath.
That's tough, man. Always
Jesus.
Watching people give up, at the end. That's one of the toughest things to listen to. But, it's a part of the series.
It's squishing. That's when the pain starts. Guess trying to put yourself in that position of being squished slowly, crushing you.
Let's move on. Another cookbook holder was Milk, who we also see, right? She's in this one. She took a deal on the 10th. She served her time. This is interesting. She served in the Cartography and Calligraphy Guild.
Yep.
And what was really cool was seeing that clip where she ran into Miriam and Prepotente. And chose to help them. right? Find a secret passage out. But that was because largely due to Miriam's kindness, because Miriam was such a kind-hearted character, and we saw that in the fifth. She tragically passed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very interesting how they introduced that character too. Is it like she's very went from one of the early crawls as well, and like they just kind of like, oh yeah, I'll do the cartography and penmanship guild, but it's like a hidden guild room that I think in like the past, like I think it's like 100 crawls, only 6 people had gone and found their guild, and she needs to do 100 crawlers, or no, it was like 333 crawlers or something like that. Have to go into her guild.
Okay. Wow.
And only 6 people has gone in like 100 years.
Yeah.
But luckily she finishes her I guess sentence, her indentureship.
I think she's still indentured, wasn't she? Because she was also no.
They at the end of this book they I guess because they have so many crawlers, it wouldn't take much for them to get 330 people out of the 50,000 people or something they had to go to the guild.
Okay. Yeah. So at the end of the book, she was free, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
So
that's interesting.
I don't know if she's leaving with the other. We haven't really gotten to that yet, but
yeah. But anyways, that was a interesting bit too, because they run into her again later on. But anyways, let's
skipping ahead here. Yeah, I know that Miriam Dawn bit was very nice. So it's like that Miriam Dawn was a great character, and Prepotente is my favorite character in this book. Favorite in the series. Is so funny. Yeah. Just the way that he does Jeff Hazes' scream is just so good.
Yeah.
Every time it cracks me up.
Yeah. So if we're speaking about favorite characters, I don't know who it would be in this book, because previously it was always Samantha when she was introduced, because she was hilarious.
Yeah. She has some good parts in this.
She did.
She seems less crazy. Unless like there's some unhinged things she does, but she seems like they're able to control her a lot better. So I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, I'm not really sure, because I think I get drawn a lot to the humorous, like the humor in this series. So whoever's the most humorous to me is like one of my favorite, if not my favorite character. I don't know who it would be now, but there were
Sluggalos.
There were several characters like some of the Sluggalos. Even Jamal, just the way he talks, that shark with the mechanical legs. Samantha a bit too. But I'm not sure. I couldn't give a definitive answer on that. But
I'm honestly the opposite. I did not like Jamal. It's just like, it's like grating on me. I was like, this guy, get it together, Jamal. God,
he was just a bag of anxiety, wasn't he?
Just the way he talks, and it just kept on going. And I'm like, you get your stuff together. Stop hopping. What are you doing?
Yeah. But the way he refers to himself in the third person, he's just like, Jamal is so sorry. That was just funny. I don't know. But there were a few other crawler sections we got, but I'll go through that later on, because they're more concurrent with events that were taking place in this book. So we'll move on we'll start with part 1. So I'll do it in 4 parts, since there were 4 parts in this book. So part 1, the ceasefire. And we start with, this is where I was really interested to see how it would start, because at the end of the last book, Carl has his skull meter maxed out, and that's going to
that's right,
provide issues, right? Because that kind of changes you or messes you up if you keep that
soul damage or something.
Yeah,
right?
Soul damage if you keep that maxed out for too long without dispelling it. So, but luckily he does that right off the bat. He just gets rid of it.
There was kind of like this whole thing like, oh no, what's gonna happen? And it's like, oh, he hits a corpse in the next level.
Yeah. So you're like, okay.
Yeah.
All right, you had to do something there, and you did.
Yeah, wasn't as detrimental as I thought. Maybe he or maybe there's something that's coming from him having it there, but I don't know. I kind of doubt it.
maybe in follow-up books, it'll be more prominent because he does go through that a number of times in this one, like
the
maxing
river
it out.
thing. The river thing is coming more and
Mhm.
more in there, and the voices and people talking in his head.
Yeah.
Different. They use different voices sometimes too, so it's not like the same person's voice talking to
Yeah.
him. You know, so
Mhm.
I don't know if it's the whatever, the eye in his chest, or if it's, you know, the river, or like something in his mind.
They acquire the Gate of the Feral Gods because I believe they had to wait to get to this floor to get it back, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they form allies with the NPCs, who are in Laracos already.
Yeah, they
And
kind of do a little tour,
right.
you know, and
Mhm.
see the new leaders of what is it? What are they called? Um, yeah, the
The
NPC team.
the Rebellion,
Yeah, something like that.
the Retribution,
Retribution, Team Retribution.
Team
Yeah,
Retribution.
yeah.
Mhm.
Go see the leaders of that group.
Yeah,
What do you?
Juicebox and
Yeah,
Ferdinand, right?
yep.
But Donut chooses for this level. She chooses the Deathbed Hellcat class, which
That's
sounds
right.
pretty badass.
What a metal name.
Yeah, but it's basically like a sniper and an assassin.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she makes use of that, especially with her
Magic
laser
missile.
beams,
Yeah.
magic missiles. Yeah, magic
Mm-hmm.
missile and like stuff like that. But it's badass class. um, here's the interesting thing. So we're in Canada. You and I are Canadian.
Yes. Oh God.
And Mordecai is a human Canadian.
Yeah.
What did you think of Mordecai? He's
Oh,
got his
it's
beaver hat, his thick Canadian
yeah.
accent.
It's pretty. I mean, it's not bad. You know, it's I've heard worse. At least
Mm,
his head isn't coming off his head like in
mm,
South Park. You know,
okay. Uh-huh.
but I think it was pretty good. I mean, I know some Canadians, like some like Easterners and some up north guys that talk like that. You know, so it's not strange to hear that. Like, okay, yeah, fair enough. Most people who are Canadians down by the border here, where most people in Canada live, don't sound like that. But
Yeah.
there are people here,
Yeah.
especially in northern people. Yeah, they'll go right up their bed. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, bud.
But what's funny is as soon as he started talking, I'm like, oh my gosh, is he Canadian? And he was Canadian. So that was funny.
Oh, it's pretty funny. Oh,
Mhm.
he's perfect. So it's like, why are you guys laughing so hard? This is the first normal thing I've been.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. Um, yeah, so we got that. Right off the bat, Carl has achievements he's got to go through, or he always puts that
Mm.
off, Carl.
Hmm.
Um, he's got a celestial box and a legendary, among others, and this new quest from Empress.
Mm.
Um, Donut gets a celestial item as well. She's got this tiara now, which is really cool because it's like able to absorb 99 different buffs from
Yes.
hats.
Yeah.
So you can put the hat on the pillow. It'll the pillow will absorb it. Put the tiara. It'll be transferred to the tiara, and she can hold up to 99 different. That is so OP, man.
I mean,
99 different buffs.
it'll take a while to stack. I think it takes 10 hours per
Mm,
item or something like that.
yeah,
But so I guess over time you just keep stacking and stacking and stacking, and that thing will be crazy. I
yeah.
think it's kind of like getting, I guess, I mean, I guess technically half the floors. I mean, is there 20 floors or is there just 18 floors? I forget.
I think there's 18.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess we're at the halfway mark and they're kind of getting OP now. It's really
Yes.
stacking up,
Oh
you
yeah.
know,
Yeah. She gets
getting
that. She
some,
also equips Kwan's cloak, doesn't she?
yep, Quan's Cloak
Yeah.
and a couple of spell books
Right.
that are pretty crazy. Yeah.
Mhm. Getting OP. Carl's Celestial is the skill potion where he acquires Gloomwraith phase.
Yes.
So he's able to turn non-corporeal, gets these intangible bursts of speed, and is basically able to like scramble targets that he runs into. He also has a new pet, this tummy acher
Mm-hmm.
that he got from
Surrendal Gore.
Sorindel Gore, right?
Yeah. They
And
even do a bit about the not being able to say her name properly,
right.
so that's pretty on point.
But they name it Rind, I believe.
Yeah.
Rind.
Or Sir
Sir
Rendell.
Sir
Sir Rendell
Rendell,
Gore.
something.
Yeah, they call him Rend or something like that.
Yeah.
So kind of want to go with the Princess Donut, and then kind of like their naming theme mantra, going with the Sir, like a knight.
Mm-hmm. So that's all just what they acquire, like what they have already at the beginning. Carl also gets long hair, right?
Yo, that's a great bit. I thought that was so funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's so much in here. We could. This is gonna be a long conversation. I have a feeling.
Yeah. We'll try to get through it all. Let's see.
Oh yeah, because I even want to say, like, even with the Surrendel Gore stuff, it's like I just kind of talking about that. It was like that last book. I was trying to remind me of that and how brutal that was in the end of the last book too.
Yeah, Louis gets a stealth bomber airship from his celestial box. But he can't carry that through to next levels. But I mean, it kind of gets destroyed in this one anyway. So
yeah.
That was a huge help.
Great name though. It's like Casket in the Sky is the name of the type of ship. Yeah, he's like, there's another one called the Dumbass Mobile.
Yeah.
I love the naming conventions, in this book, even spells like, gas station boner pill, all he's so creative.
Did you like Louis' merch he got? Donut holes shirt?
Oh, it's just, they really like sprinkle in those little small comedic moments to kind of break up how brutal and,
right,
stressful the book is,
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I guess I don't want to jump ahead too much, but do you feel like, now, don't get me wrong, love all the characters, but did you feel like enough characters died in this book?
I was expecting a lot more, so I'm actually surprised.
Yeah, I kind of felt like I thought it was like, oh, this is going to be like the Red Wedding, kind of like there's going to be some people that get knocked off here. And don't get me wrong, there was a few, but it was not to the level that I thought. I thought they'd be like left and right,
right,
taking out main characters or something,
Right. Yeah, me too, because we've gotten a lot of that. And, get a little bit off topic, but I would say that it felt like, because this was just a big, like, this is one we've been anticipating for so long, this level. And all the characters that we've, heard about or seen so far, like, so much stuff is just thrown into this one that I think
everything just kind of comes together. All the people, right?
I think there was a big focus on dealing with this floor, like all the different aspects, the factions and whatever, rather than a lot of that, like a lot of stuff that we might hint at in the future, or like, flashbacks, whatever, or like big death moments. I think that was all kind of pushed to the side a little bit in order to get through the plot of this one.
Yeah, I get it. There's a lot here. There's a lot of characters. And I mean, I guess in this one, he's had more help on this floor than any other floor. Like he's got backup for like days, people from out of the system, people who are in previous calls, tons of information, tons of help. He's no longer fighting alone on this floor, where usually he's kind of like stuck by himself, or maybe with Katya, or, maybe with a few other people, but, basically on his own. He wasn't on his own in this one, or no, well, on his own minus with Donut or whatever. But he's kind of had a lot more help. So maybe that's why the low death count.
Right, but it was a big undertaking. You know what I mean? Like before we even got to this book, you already I had this idea that like this book on this level, it's gonna be like a hit or a miss, because it's been highly anticipated, this floor. And here we are, and it'll either be like super amazing or just suffer a little bit here and there.
I mean, it wasn't a flop.
It wasn't a flop. No way. No. But I don't know. Aspects did suffer.
Yeah, I think so too. But I mean, when you're doing a book that big and with so many moving parts to it, I mean, it's hard to balance, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I feel like he did a pretty good job of keeping most of it together. you know.
Yep.
Of course, we're always like, oh, it could have used this or it could have used that. I mean, it could have been split into 2 books, honestly. It's so big. So much stuff happened. But I don't want to say it's mid-range. I think it's above mid-range, obviously. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot of lore and a lot of we still don't know much about the outer space, outer like, the main syndicate worlds and stuff like that. We kind of have a bit of an idea now, but like, yeah.
Yeah, speaking of lore, we got this section with the Sumeru dwarves, right? Their dark history and how they're digging for their god, but finding the roots to this all tree and igniting Skulapendra's 9-tier attack.
Yeah, well, I believe it says that they're not the original cause, but they were there kind of thing. Like they realized what they had done when they dug so deep. They didn't cause the attack, but because they dug so down and they found it, they're like, oh no, we've made the mistake, and try to stop other people from making that same mistake. But
yeah, so there's also some recruiting going on in these early stages because they can still recruit people for their faction, right? Like on this floor. Because I guess a lot of crawlers are unaligned or
well, usually the other war chiefs can like use a spell to conscript crawlers onto their team. So if they, instead of getting conscripted and being forced to fight in this war for funsies, they're like, okay, we better go and work with Donut and Carl and be on their team, so we're all on the same team. We don't have to fight each other, so that's why they try to like, let's all go to this team so we don't get conscripted. Not everybody does. Some people try to go out into the forest and hide. How do you feel about the whole Juice Box Louis situation? I mean, there's a lot more stuff happens later on, but like, he's almost scared of Juice Box now because he kind of like realizes, oh, this isn't just like some silly NPC. Yeah, we had a fling on a couple floors ago, but life has gotten real, and my best friend Faraz died, and he's really going through it. And then he sees her, and he's like, "Oh, this person's like level 120 plus, or we don't even know, like super powerful. It's been murdering people left and right, And I guess we're married and we're in love now, and I'm not really prepared mentally for this." And he doesn't really know how he feels about his relationship with her. But he's like, I should just go ahead and do this because it would be best for our party and for the crawlers and help everybody get along. If I don't do this, then we're not going to work very well with the NPC team, and she's going to hate me, and we could fight or something like that. And we don't want to fight that.
Yeah, but you do find out that he's like actually terrified of her, because
fully terrified. Yeah.
I mean, she's a changeling. She transforms into some super creepy, terrifying entities in this one.
Yeah.
And at the end, they just end up getting divorced.
Yeah, I mean, she like, goes into his mind and takes over his body to save him, get him out of a situation. But because of that, she's able to kind of feel how he feels, know his feelings, and realizes how terrified he is of her. And it really breaks her heart. So, and she kind of understands that. She's like, I understand how he feels. I can't fault him for that. And, he was just one of the most honest people I've met. So I'll just admire from a distance kind of thing. And it's kind of heartbreaking, but.
But yeah, that gets dealt with at the very end too. Like I said, Louis goes through some crazy stuff, but going back to that intro part, we meet Tippett and Rosetta, who are former cookbook holders. They arrive with the 50K former crawlers.
And boy, what a moment was that, eh?
Yeah.
It was kind of like a very heartfelt moment where it's just kind of like all of a sudden it's like, instead of like always getting people joining his war team, and then all of a sudden it's like gets blasted. What's going on? Oh, you have some people that want to meet you, and it's something else. It's like, it's like, oh, you want to talk about the book, and like, oh,
Yeah.
I've read your things, and I'm so
Right.
glad to see you. But it's like, I gotta pretend like this is my first time meeting you, because I
Right.
can't say I know you from the book. Oh, I read your thing.
Yeah.
You got
Yeah.
bad grammar. It's like, yeah, you can't just say that. You have to just kind of like suck it in and just, oh my God, so
Yeah.
tearful,
That was pretty heartfelt though, and considering that all those crawlers have been watching the show, so
hmm
they're well aware of everything Donut and Carl have been doing and saying,
Yeah.
and like they know everything that's been going on with them. So
hmm
the fact that they just like feel like brothers and sisters right away
Oh
is pretty
yeah.
touching.
Yeah. And it's like, even where it comes to like people going out of their way to like get their revenge, and he's like, well, I can't fault that person for like finally getting their revenge. They've waited so long. Maybe it screws up my plans a little bit, but like, I can't fault that person for
Right.
going out and killing that person, because they've been
Yeah.
tortured by that for hundreds of years or whatever.
Which we see with Rosetta
Rosetta,
later on, right? With King Russ.
probably a bit with Justice Light as well, but we'll find out.
Right.
hmm
Yeah.
They're kind of like a proud people when he finally meets Justice Light, and he does a bow to Carl, but he does a bit of a long bow. So Mordecai's like, "What? I'm a Skyfall too." Well, that's a little bit much for a Skyfall. What are you doing there with that
Yeah.
bow? You
Yeah.
know, it's kind of like, are people going to pick it up? I'm surprised that they haven't taken the book away from him at this point. Even the people from outside of the crawl are like, man, he's basically screaming it out that he's got this book. He's the most like, clearly he has the Anarchist cookbook out there. Like, nobody else has it. He's definitely got it. It's very
Right.
clear. So I'm surprised that I wouldn't be surprised if they took it away from him in a later book.
We still have the Bedlam Bride. We still got She Maria inside
Mm-hmm.
Carl. We got the eye on his chest, right?
That was very interesting, them trying to get rid of that, and how it turned out was
Yeah.
something else. It just seems like even when things are going wrong for Carl in this book, things kind of really turn around and go really well for him. There's no
Yeah.
like things going super wrong for Carl in this book, I think. Everybody else, but not him.
Yeah. Well, that part did get a little messed up because the whole
Mm.
dream sequence when him and Katya were going under
Oh my
to
God.
deal
Yeah.
with their dream things, like Carl was dealing with She Maria, Katya was dealing with
Her addiction with
her
the
addiction. Yeah.
yeah, the sticks
That
or
went
whatever.
unexpected because they
Mm-hmm.
kind of converged, and
Yeah.
he saw all her memories and issues, and then dealing with She Maria, how she just pops up and is like, "I didn't kill my husband."
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
As she proceeds to kill her husband and eat him.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Oh man, that was
But
brutal.
that they kind of push those scenes through a couple of times. The whole Kadia dream scenes with Annie, and whew, like they bring it up a couple of times in this book, and
Yeah.
that was when it's really interesting to see more of Katya, and like early Katya, like before the crawl, and what her life was like, and how she became the person who she is, and how she's kind of like, now Katya is kind of like a badass, but when she was first introduced, she was very much not. She was very like
Yeah.
quiet, sad,
Yeah.
beaten up by life, and to
Yeah.
hear her story of her having like cancer before, and the baby that was sick and that she was going to adopt and spend its final moments with her, and somehow they wouldn't let her care for this child that was going to die anyway. It's just like
Yeah.
terrible. It was so brutal
It was.
hearing that whole story.
Absolutely. Yeah, but
hmm
she has come a long way, and you've seen her after joining Carl, she's really changed
hmm
to a more um, firm and like outgoing, confident woman.
Yeah, take charge, and she'll be her own boss and step away from being part of the Princess Posse, start her own basically group,
Yeah.
and take things into her own hands, be the leader of her own, because
Yeah.
she didn't want to get dragged down, and she didn't want to be the side character getting taken off. But yeah.
But that dream sequence again goes way out of hand, and I think Carl wakes up in the high elf castle of the Lemig Sortian.
Yep.
Right, and
They high elf. Oh yeah, the high elf castle. That's right, because the castle
yeah,
came down from the other floor.
yeah,
That's why.
yeah,
Yeah.
where Commander Stockade.
Mm-hmm.
We find out he's received outside help to attack the princess posse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they've been receiving outside help through some.
Well, I think it's just they're just able to get outside help at that point. They hadn't after that point is when they say you can't get any access to any of the other floors. They can't get no information in or out. Yeah,
yeah.
after this happens. Yeah,
because there were like there was this outside feed that they were getting through some loophole, right, with the like personal news feeds and the changing the names.
Yeah, I think that was a little bit later with the that was after the meeting of the board there. They had like all the warlords came together to like chat or something. Like after a bit, that's when they realized, because the snake lady, the what's her name?
The sepsis
horror. The sepsis horror, yeah. She was like saying something like, "How do you know this? How are you still getting outside information? You shouldn't be able to know this."
Yeah.
And that's when they find out about like the loopholes with the they changed the name of a TV channel, or like this just to get past
messages.
Exactly. Yeah. So then they had to block that with their order there. I don't even think they used all their orders, did they? The good guys team, they in total they used 3 and they have 6. So
she gets trapped, right? Chi-Maria?
Yeah. Chi-Maria's trapped in his chest now. She was already kind of trapped there, but now he's got the control. I think, did he get an ability out of it? I think he did. I'm not sure.
I think he's got like this third eye that he can see out of now or something.
Yeah, he has the ability to see through it, which is kind of gross, kind of fucked up. I don't know. It's like he's like, I have to focus on not using it. So it's like, can you imagine? Just like, and if somebody was like to poke you in the chest, would it hurt? Like you got poked in the eye?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
He says when he puts his hand on it, he could feel the eye moving underneath it, like his REM sleep. So I just
that's creepy.
You're running around jogging, sweats runs down into your third eye.
There's no eyebrow there, is there?
No. There's no eyebrow.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyways, the Lemig Sortian gets eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
All the assets go to the Madness.
They're screwed up looking people too, those Madness guys.
Right.
They like mix between like a goblin and a predator from Alien versus Predator with their teeth pulled back, and they wear the masks. It's like,
Right.
Yeah.
But the ceasefire ends early. And I think there was a part where Architect Houston of the Madness nearly kills Carl.
Takes the gun out, tries to blast him.
Right. Yeah. Through the meeting, right? They had a big meeting.
Yeah. And it's basically like, oh, we got to go now because, when that guy dies, ceasefire stops.
Right.
And so if he didn't teleport out of there to the other base, then it's like fights on. You're in the other base.
Right. And that's basically where it ends, part 1. But we do have this section called Christmas Morning, where we kind of go back to the prologue, where Carl was sitting with the lonely dog on Earth and thinking about his friends in the future. And this is where he chooses to disconnect the containment and gets rid of the failsafe. So he doesn't press the button. Instead, he disconnects it.
Yeah. Well, he disconnects the AI, so the AI is no longer locked down to just Earth, and its ability to control its power is kind of spread farther and farther, and taking over other planets, including the other planet with the other failsafe on it. I believe it's Venus. So that's why it's like it's starting to take over more of the universe, and like so now that the AI has control in other planets in the solar system.
Yeah,
and it's expanding like the center system. It's the same thing. It's got an AI there, and they kind of live forever over there or whatever.
But now we get to part 2, which is the ramp up. And this is basically attacks are on now, but non-magical.
Yeah.
Non-magical attacks only.
Yeah, so they're keeping the magic out of it for the first bit, so they kind of like, yeah. It's interesting how they break everything up. I guess to kind of extend the fights when it was before it was like against the crawlers. It was more like, okay, if we all have magical abilities, it's gonna be real quick. So they kind of like break it up a little bit, I guess.
Yeah. But this is where we meet Boomer, who is the elf warlord with the princess posse. And Carl decides to go on the assault. They use these invisible potions and they just go for the attack.
Very World War I trench warfare.
Yeah.
You know, pop over the trenches. You know, they, gas attacks. That whole scene where they're running into battle and they're blasting with the music and the lights in the faces and invisible and, nuking the other team, throwing blasts. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, pretty crazy. And this is where Carl finally starts feeling some soul damaging effects of the daughter's kiss, right? The patch that he has.
Yeah. Well, he left it for too long and he got like was it like blue balls or something like that?
Yeah. He had post nut clarity.
Yeah. he got the blue balls like debuff first, and then as soon as he used it, then he got the post nut clarity,
clarity.
Yeah,
and he was out for 20 seconds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, you
got to be careful. That's dangerous. In the middle of a war zone, and you're just out for 20 seconds, like.
Just like what happened? Everybody's covered in dirt and blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
kind of that bomb goes off. Yeah.
But they arrive at the Prism to take on Princess Donatia.
And this was after.
Yeah, this was pretty swift. Like he used his ring of divine suffering, and killed her. But
I mean, it was a little bit more brutal than that.
Yeah.
They sucked the Mongo on it and the clockwork Mongos and tore her up to pieces and then healed her, and then
it was graphic.
But yeah, that's it just was really quick. No.
I mean, it went. Yeah, it went by. That whole scene was somewhat quick. But she did get annihilated, and I think he was talking about where he hated her the most because of her being a two-faced, right?
Yeah,
she was like helping at the beginning, and then she just turned on them.
Where it's like, oh, you don't really care. You kind of acted like you're a good person.
Yeah.
But like at least with like, Rusk and Mysterio and Stalwart, like they're all like just assholes, and they're just assholes. They're like, yeah, I don't care. I'll murder thousands of people. I don't give a crap.
Yeah.
So where she was like, oh yeah, we're friends and this and that, and then she's trying to buy a spot, and not just now, but she's been trying to get on for years to go and kill crawlers. It's like, oh, so you're not a good person. You're just pretending like you're a good person. I get that. It's like, he's just like, that's why I hate you the most. And it's like, oh, I'm surprised he doesn't have like, I mean, do you think Carl's ever going to get a player killer skull?
I don't know. I can't see it. Maybe that'll be a big moment where he gets like one.
I'm surprised he didn't get it with Quan CH,
Right.
From the last book, I'm surprised he didn't get it there. Donut took it, and same with this one. She's like, no, let me take this. Don't kill, please.
Or maybe he won't. Maybe that'll be a big thing. Maybe that'll be like some massive achievement. You've made it to this floor without a single player skull. you know? So yeah, I can't really see it, but yeah, so they do that. Carl also, so he uses the ring of divine suffering on her, and I love that, the concept of that ring, because it creates such heavy moments and such tension. Like if it goes wrong, that's going to be just absolutely devastating.
I mean, that's why it's divine suffering, because I mean, like if you screw up, I mean, it could be horrendous. like with the original owner of that ring, what happened there, where the daughter died.
Yeah,
Maggie
but
Mai's daughter died, right?
right,
Oh,
yeah.
geez. That's, there's Ring of Divine Suffering for a reason.
Yeah, and it is changing him a bit. Like you see him,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, "Oh man, I remind myself of my father now a bit." That's brutal to say something like that.
Yeah. When
So
Donut says, "You're scaring me," like, oh,
yes, oh,
that
those
just
are
kind of
always
really hurts to hear that.
yeah,
Like, that's
those
like
moments when Donut's just looking at him like, you're scaring me. Is
mm-hmm.
Those are heavy moments. But we also have these brainworms, the Valte, who infiltrate the princess posse, right? And you get that with that moment where Carl's like, "Oh wait, this guy's dead, but he's still moving around. Like he's on the map or wherever." Like,
Yeah,
what's going
he
on?
must have been brought in. They must have been brought in later as like soldiers or whatever.
Hmm.
When they were bringing in their soldiers, they must have brought in some people who were Valte worms.
Right.
So
Yeah.
mercenaries,
Yeah.
like God, that's what a scary thing there, right? Just the
Yeah.
worms taking over your mind, or even your
Absolutely.
corpse.
Right.
Those ones take over a corpse.
Hmm.
Fwah.
And like I said, with this one, just the accumulation of all these characters we've got from previous floors, like when they unleash Tina. They got Tina, they got Kiwi, who's pregnant
Oh
with
my God.
Mama's children. Oh
Yeah.
man. And I guess we can just cover this now. She gave birth to these these bear raptor hybrids.
Oh my God. The
Weren't
description
really,
was pretty
yeah,
something else. It's
yeah.
like, and everybody's like, "Oh, what a nice baby," and they're like, "Oh
Like,
my God,
what are
kill it now,
these?
kill it with
Yeah.
fire."
Oh, it was brutal. So we already covered that you did not like Jamal.
No,
The
he's
mechanical legs.
okay.
Okay.
I stressed me out sometimes. He was just
Oh
like,
yeah.
it's his way he talks could kind of bothered me a bit.
See, I loved it. That was
Yeah,
hilarious. That was hilarious for me. The way his voice alone was just, and his like anxiety fueled speeches. It's
yeah,
just,
his manner of speaking. Yeah,
it's funny. I'm like,
yeah, I get it.
but the whole time I'm just like, what is he doing here? Like,
Yeah,
what purpose does he serve? No purpose, just humor.
I mean, when Donut was mad about Carl bringing the tummy acher in, uh,
Mhm.
he was like, "Oh, that tummy acher is going to be like a Scrappy Doo, or like a Uncle whatever." He's like, "I don't know. The tummy acher doesn't seem to be that kind of a character, but this Jamal guy, I feel it's like that's the Scrappy Doo right there. Like it's the character.
Yes.
I'm like, I hope he dies off." I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know.
That's fine. Hey, you are
It's
entitled to your opinion.
yeah, not the worst character out there, but like just oof.
And then we get the introduction of King Rust,
Mm,
Stalwart and Maestro's dad. They have that meeting. He meets with Carl immediately to discuss his daughter, Princess Formidable, her plan to activate the failsafe.
mm-hmm.
That Carl didn't, but he disconnected it, so he knows that there is no failsafe anymore.
So he's in his head. He's like laughing, and he's like, I gotta play this straight.
Yeah, but like immediately after that, Rosetta decapitates him, and
Metal as fuck.
like we mentioned earlier, that was her long
Revenge.
harbored
Yeah.
beef that she had
Mm-hmm.
with him. And we get more of that story later
Mm-hmm.
because she transfers like a bunch of his credits over to her, and I think her and Baroness Victory had this plan, right? Because Baroness Victory is
Yeah.
part of that family.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't I don't quite remember all of that, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
because
supposed to go to like Porthos or something. That he's out in a. They're trying to start something new away
yeah,
from the system.
they use the credits to buy two ships, and
Mm.
one of the ships blew up the yacht, right, with the orcs.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
and remember, like the orcs and like all the child orcs too, and
Mm-hmm.
so that was later on, but
At the
you know,
very end. Yeah.
much
Yeah.
more bigger things playing out outside the crawl. Um,
There's
and
wars
yeah,
up. hot shots back and forth, and
yeah.
you know.
So Rust dies immediately. Carl is transported to Orin, who knows of the failsafe incident, and man, that tension was high with that meeting because Orin is he's like, this is it, I'm going to lose my job, blah blah blah.
But
The
he's like,
AI appears, right?
oh yeah,
That's when the AI appeared as well in the NPC body and transports Princess Formidable to Earth, but like,
yeah.
it's
Oh
like in
my
the
gosh.
water. So we don't know if Princess Formidable is alive or dead yet.
Well, they mentioned that she's pretty good at a doggy paddle or something.
Yeah, like I hope she can swim, is what he
Yeah,
says.
yeah.
So
I don't know. Hopefully, I mean, the Earth is 70% water, so I
yeah,
mean, if he puts her in the middle of the ocean, whew, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, that's true.
But
But we don't know yet. There is this other meeting of the warlords. We meet Princess Vinyata, Sepsis, the Naga leader, right? Juice Box is there. She's like super pissed at the treatment of NPCs. She transforms into this like tall, shadowy tentacle thing.
yeah,
There's
scares
crap out of everybody.
everybody.
Yeah,
The sepsis horror, she like kind of spills the beans to Carl, like that, like they're getting outside information. He's like basically figures it out from that meeting. You know,
yeah.
she tries to convince Carl to like leave him alone, but kind of works against her. You know.
There's a lot of previous things that come to light as well, like learning that the Naga run this Blood Hunters show, which was part of the thing in the dungeon that killed Miriam Dom, right?
Yes. So
So
that's why Prepotenti didn't join up with them yet, because he's trying to kill the owner of that show, which is the same people that Donut needs to kill. So it's like they could have been working from the beginning here. You know, I get you're trying to like settle things on your own, but
yeah, he does finally join the Princess Posse. Right, comes around. They plan to intercept the Naga because the Naga always pull this disappearing act, right?
yeah. And they figured a plan to like figure out how they actually do it, where they actually go, because nobody figured it out in all these seasons that they've done it.
Yeah, they use a link to their god worship. They teleport right through like portals where the temples, I mean, where they worship the gods.
Yeah, I think it's like if you like pray to like if you like become like a follower of a god, then he'll take him with to his area and like basically try to like sell you a timeshare in his like in his heaven, or it is like in his group, so you can kind of take some other people with you. So that's kind of what they do to get away from getting murdered.
But that's in Club Vanquisher, right? That's where the portal is.
Yeah.
And then they have this huge fight there. We got Mork the Ram. What do you think of Mork the Ram NPC? The way he talks, that
brutal.
was annoying.
That was
talking
annoying.
about the way Jamal talks is annoying.
Yeah.
Mork, his voice is super annoying.
Super annoying, but it's supposed to be annoying, and he always gets like crap kicked out of him, so it kind of makes it worthwhile. It's like, all right, that guy's really annoying, and he gets at this point kind of gets sucked into hell.
Yeah.
I don't know if if you have an annoying voice, you need to go to hell. I don't know if that's how that works, but that's what happened. Holy! What did you think of those Lenos spells, eh?
Those are badass.
They're badass. They're pretty
demonic, like bloody.
Pretty metal.
Oh yeah, I mean she's like a crazy demon thing, right? So she's gonna have some crazy badass spells.
I don't know if we need to go through the whole process of their whole plan. Probably not. But it's gonna take forever. But like, just go into like the lean up part for one. Like,
but like she captures souls, right?
Yeah. She usually all those powers are from like if you touch her. Like she's like goes over attacks kind of by touch, but they use like this copper wire to like extend and kind of like do it an AoE of her attacks, and basically like are ripping people's souls out, are making people bleed all the blood out of their bodies.
Right.
Making them like attack themselves, pulling their own eyes out, turning them around, putting them back in their eyes. So I can see my soul. I can see I'm good.
Oh, man. Yeah, just making them do brutal stuff.
Yeah, stabbing themselves, opening up their chest. You're like, look, I have a heart.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, sorry.
That
This
was
is,
some messed up
it was
stuff.
in the book.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's
was,
she is brutal. She is metal. She is certified metal, but
yeah, and she's just like, well, I'm leveling up right now, so I'm gonna keep doing this. And they're like, really? This? We're gonna keep doing this?
Yeah, but there is a boss battle. We get the return of a boss battle. Carl against the god Kepri. Which is this ambush by Vignata. I mean, we got the return of Mantars here. You loved Mantars, right?
Love Mantars. Mantars are dope. Is it man on top, man on the bottom, also horse on the bottom? I don't know.
Half
Double
man,
chest.
half man.
I think they got like 2 chests or something like that, 2 men chests, and then a horse body at the back.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sick.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
What was really funny was the AI mentioning killing Jong because no one talks about him anymore. It's like this character. He's like, yeah, let's see if anybody can kill Jong. Nobody really talks about him anymore. And Jong's just like, what the hell?
Yeah, he's like, why? What, me? Why me?
Why are you singling me
Fuck
out?
you, man.
Yeah. But
in the end, he survives. Like, yeah, I fucking survived. Yeah, fuck you. I survived. It's so good. Oh, so good.
Yeah. I think Carl did gain some temporary immortality in this fight.
Yeah, because he sees a god, and the scavenger's daughter patch activates, and whenever you're around a god, he gets a certain ability. Sometimes they're good, or sometimes it's like, oh, if you get an erection, your dick falls off, or
yeah,
or you're invincible, or whatever.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Yeah, but that fight, after that's over, I think one of the sluggalos kills Vignata, right? That female sluggal.
That is true. Yeah, it happened. It just kind of like it just bats him over the head at the very end, right? Hit us with the axe.
Axe right to the head.
Yeah. Oh
and
my
there
gosh.
You go.
Those sluggalos are awesome. Those are also great characters.
Yeah. She does get more of a role later too. One of that sluggalette. What's her? I forgot her name, but she's crazy. Helic appears. This was interesting. Helic appears during the fight and tells Carl he didn't kill Embers' son, and their sister is corrupted and bigger things are going on.
Yeah, and tell him I'm sorry, and all this stuff, and
he actually does want to help Carl too. He's like, let's meet up, or let's plan something.
Tell Helic, and we'll work together, and we'll I'll patch things up with my brother and help find his son's killer.
Right.
But it's cool. After that, we meet these kind of guardians that I guess kind of block between the 18th floor and this floor. They have these pig kind of guards, these golden pig guards, right? That are kind of like deity level entities. And some of them come out to kind of stop this crazy fighting that's going on, because I guess a god came into the, there's all this fighting going on in the clubhouse or whatever, and the gods are coming in, and it's like, so there's 15 gods all showing up. So it's Vengeance of the Daughter Patches going crazy, giving him all these abilities and taking abilities away, and all these gods are running around, which is kind of what the the changelings want, because they want to touch the gods to get their powers.
So yeah, this is the very end of part 2, where Carl meets Milk in the secret calligraphers guild.
That's right.
And, they hug it out for a little while, and now we're into part 3, which is open hostilities. So immediately we start with Justice Light. We know he's a cookbook holder.
He's got one arm.
He was with Dante, was it? Who got smited or killed.
Yeah.
He killed an NPC. We get his backstory. He killed an NPC who was like a trap merchant, and basically doomed a lot of his fellow crawlers because that trap merchant died.
Yeah.
And you can see that later he he tries to redeem himself by taking that trap merchant's position. But what do you think of Justice Light? What do you think of his character?
I feel like there was a lot of setup for him that I didn't feel a lot of follow through. Like I get that he eventually did something important, but I feel like he did this whole thing with setting up the traps, and I understand it was like this ended up being needed because I mean like that's good I guess, but like I feel like there should have been more. He seemed like a very interesting character, and I don't feel like they didn't got fleshed out as much as I would have wanted. But there's a lot of characters in this book. You
Yeah,
can't really focus on everybody, you
yeah.
know.
But jumping ahead, like at the end, I think he dropped all his traps or something, didn't he?
Yeah, he had to kill himself basically. He killed himself by dropping all his traps. But he like uh basically he sent Juice Box to floor 12 or whatever, or
Yeah.
14, wherever the people are, and you know, kind of sent them ahead. And I think because he did that, the Pharaoh he used the gate to the Pharaoh gods in that way. He woke up Skullpendra.
Right.
Yeah, he like somehow like there's those bugs that like transport people to like the different gods realms, and they're like invisible, like kind of like lasers kind of thing.
Okay.
And he was able to stop those as well as the demons spawning from hell, and like somehow was able to combine those two things to create like a hell portal that released all the chaos gods into that floor with all the gods in it, and
Mhm.
woke Skullpendra. It's a whole
Yeah.
thing at the end,
Yeah. I
and he's
remember at
done
the
with
very
that.
end, Scolopendra had awoken.
Yeah,
At the very
and they're
end.
like, you guys got to run to the next floor because otherwise, nothing. You can't do the next thing. But that floor is also a trap floor. So now the people who are gods in the crawl and they're just a party, now they're stuck in the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. So we got that section with Justice Light, and then after that, more AI updates. You see how choppy he's getting. Right.
Mm-hmm.
We got these divine items from celestial
Yep.
boxes that Carl gets. I think he gets a hairbrush, which
Yeah.
ups his charisma, constitution, and his speed.
Yeah. So, but he has to have hair at a certain length. So it's like, well, now I'm stuck with this long hair. I can't cut
Yeah.
my hair anymore.
Yeah.
It's like it's always like that. It's like, oh, he finally gets shoes, but he can't wear them because he's got these epic toe rings, or
Yeah.
he gets the boxer, so he can't wear pants anymore because it's
Yeah.
just because it's funny.
Right.
And if you just think about how he must look, just think about how he must look. You know what I
Well,
mean?
you see it on the cover.
You
On the
see it in
cover
the
of the
cover, but
book.
then every once in a while I get reminded. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, he's like doing this war speech. He's in his boxers. It's
Yeah.
just he's got toe rings on. He's in his
I know.
boxers with a leather jacket on.
Well, listening to this on audiobook, a lot of times I'm just sitting there and staring at the screen, which is the
Yeah.
cover of the book, and I'm just constantly reminded of how ridiculous Carl looks. But it's like it's so interesting, you know.
It's
That's a
it's
good cover. I like the
it's
cover
a
of this
great
book.
cover. I
Yeah,
like that bit where they were doing the hair. I think that was a good little comedy bit there.
I think Katia also gets some knee pads. That does she give them to Carl?
I
She
think
give them to
eventually
Carl?
she gives them to Donut.
Okay, donut.
It's supposed to go to
Oh,
Carl, but ends up going to Donut.
okay.
So I think she was wearing them at the very end when they kill that other god.
Uh,
Yeah,
okay.
but I guess we could go into like, what do you think about like there's the whole god thing that the god gets summoned. I forget, is it the chaos god that gets summoned, and they kind of does the witnessing attack that like any NPC that's around, they have to be a witness, and they get invulnerability, but they all have to come to the area. But that was one of the things near the end where they all the NPCs after this attack, the good team and the bad team, they all get stuck together, and so for Donut to save them, she puts them all into that combat ball.
All
Makes
right.
them become like the ball of swine kind of thing.
Yeah.
Rolls them away.
Yeah. One of the other items that Carl gets is a upgrade patch, another patch, which is like the foot stomping on clovers. Remember that?
Yeah, wait, it's like he
From
doesn't want to put it on though because it's like basically if there's a fatal attack that's going to go to you, you could pass it on to your
Right.
friend. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you could pass a fatal attack onto someone
a
else.
teammate. Yeah.
Ooh.
So
But he
it's
got
not.
that from dropping a bomb right in front of him while he was immortal.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh man, this is the part where it's like, all right, I take a minute here, process everything that's going on, get back to the book. You know,
Yeah.
it's a part that
But,
I need to reread. I think.
yeah. So many celestial items in this one
Mm-hmm.
too. Like celestial items are going to be way more common now. We're at the
I
higher
mean,
levels.
there's a whole thing that they're saying out of the out of the system, out of the you know, out of the crawl things that happened was like there's a lawsuit going on to try to like because the crawl's gone out of control. The Kuatine and the Velte, they're trying to like be like, okay, we cannot be financially responsible for these celestial boxes because they cost so much money. But
Yeah.
the AI is giving them away like candy. We can't afford like AI. Those celestial boxes are supposed to be super rare.
Yeah.
We can't afford to pay for these.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I mean, at one point, a whole bunch of them get this celestial "Who Let the Gods Out" box,
yeah.
and yeah, I think Empress. At that point, Empress gets enraged from Helic's appearance,
Mm.
um, and then he gets that quest. Carl gets that quest: kill 100 Helic worshippers, and then Helic gets, I think, unstable with the whole situation, and he might just smite Carl at some point.
You think so?
It's said. It was said at some point, and Carl's just like, "What the fuck?"
What did I do?
Yeah, yeah. Somebody, I love all the moments with Carl where Carl's just like, "What the fuck?" Like
Yeah.
that thing that he got where it's like, "Don't get an erection or else your penis will fall off."
Yeah. Oh my God.
It's like, what the hell? And then right on top of that, it's like you also get a skill where one god
Yeah. One of your
god
god
mode or
abilities.
whatever you get will be permanent. So
Yeah.
on top of that, if you get it, it'll be permanent.
Yeah. It was the chaos god when they came out. It's like one of your abilities will become permanent. It's like one of them was like your dick will fall off, and the other one was like the Pied Piper skills level 15. And it's
Mhm.
like almost lands on your dick will fall off if you get an erection. It's like
Right.
ah.
Yeah. Oh man. I love watching Carl go through that kind of stuff. It's just so funny.
Oh my God, it's funny. I mean, like horrible, it's so
Horrible,
scary,
absolutely. But
but
it's just
like also funny.
yeah.
What do you think about the Chaos God? I know.
That's one of the gods. There were a lot of gods in this one. That's one of the ones that I
Mm-hmm.
didn't really pay much attention to.
I
So,
probably should have a little. Probably should have paid a little bit better attention to it. But that Chaos God, once the person hosting that god is out of its body, it
mhm.
starts. It's the one that gives that ability to keep one of the powers and tells Carl, "I don't tell lies.
Okay.
You know, you shouldn't have that ring or something like that. You should be careful with that." And Brittany's been taken over, or like has
Oh,
a
right. Yeah.
yeah, been
Like
Brittany's
cursed or something
possessed. Yeah, possessed or
from the
something.
from the act,
Yeah,
right?
from the axe and
Yeah.
something else. Who was the third thing I forget? But
Yeah. Something. I can't.
something important. I don't remember.
Something important.
Yeah.
But yeah. So this is an interesting part. We also get Rishi, who's the husband of Vinyata, the Naga, who I think he was talking about wanting to work with humans outside of the dungeon. He was talking about that with
Yeah.
Carl.
Hmm. He tries to
Um,
do like a plea deal.
yeah, that was interesting because you thought that was going somewhere, but then Carl just marks him and kills him
Yeah.
right
Well, it's just like he's like, "Oh, you want to make deals now?"
there.
Like I would have
Yeah.
taken a deal with you guys on a second floor, third floor, something like that. We're
Hmm.
past that now.
Yeah.
You guys don't have the cards anymore. You know, I don't even get to see it, but the world's burning outside of here, and because of everything you've done to us, you think that you can get away with this. You think that I care. You think like,
Yeah.
oh, you're here. and you go kill crawlers every year, I've got no sympathy for you. You say that you're trying to do something good. I don't believe you. I
Right.
love that.
Yeah. Too
Very
late.
good. It's like, you think, oh, is they going to make a deal now? Are
Yeah.
these guys actually secretly good? It's
Mhm.
like, no, you're not secretly good. You can't
Mhm.
try and play me with like that.
Yeah. Or you think maybe just Rishi is a good Naga, but it's too late.
Carl sees right through it. He's like,
Mhm.
yeah, oh yeah. So
Yeah.
you're the one who can sign off on these plans. He's like, all right, I will kick rocks.
What'd you think of the war mages? They steal the gate of the feral gods. They kill Stalwart,
Mm,
right?
yeah,
Because there's this like new faction that's kind of introduced halfway through is the war mage.
yeah.
It's like the war mage rebellion. They're like a non-faction actually. Just
Scrolling down my name list of people.
yeah. I think
Uh,
they might be led by Agatha.
that's it. Sorry, I was
Yeah.
looking for Agatha. I've got a list. I've got a massive list inside here of all the names of all the people.
Hmm.
It's massive now.
Yeah.
Half these people are dead, so I could probably delete some, but I never know. They might come back.
Um, yeah, they were
Yeah,
holding the retribution, the NPC throne room
you
at
know
one
what? I
point.
don't know how I feel about that whole bit. I
Mm.
mean, I kind of feel like, did they kill off the other two leaders at that point, or did they not do that yet?
Um, they killed. So I think the Naga were out, and like one or two others were out at that
I
point.
think there's just two left, right? At that point, they hadn't killed those two bosses yet. That comes after this part.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they were still in the penis ball weapon thing, but
I think that
held
was
by the
still going
god.
on. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know, man. I feel just how that ended, with the war mages and Agatha. It was kind of like it was supposed to be this big thing. It felt like it was going to come to like a fruition, and like they're going to
Mm.
have this. They're going to have to fight these war mages, but then it kind of just petered out. You know,
Mm.
I don't know if you felt the same way. Like I was kind of expecting like them to actually fight some war mages, or like them to that
Mm.
they're like kind of known to be assholes,
Yeah.
and they kind of took the tower, they took the castle, and you know they did all these things to make it so that only one team could win, and you're like, oh, new faction, what's going on? They're gonna have to fight to survive. No, they just leave.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
I don't
felt like
know.
that was like that was the one thing was like, okay, maybe they didn't need that, or maybe they didn't need to take the castle, or maybe they could have had one of the other leaders take the castle instead of these war mage faction. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They could have like the madness sneak in there, the leader of the madness sneak in there, and then take out the leader of the madness in there, overdoing the war mage thing.
Yeah. All I know
I
is
don't know.
something critical is going to happen with Agatha because she's been in. It's been building up for quite a while now,
Mm-hmm.
and not really sure what the whole deal with Agatha is going to
Yeah,
be.
didn't really, other than saying that Agatha was there, didn't really get much
Yeah.
of Agatha in this one. I guess the one thing is like I think that Samantha's going to be big, 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 big soon. Things are going to come out with that
Mm.
because I mean, like they say, she says that her daughter's dead, but the war mages say, "Oh, we have the scavenger's daughter, and we've taken her to the whatever next floor or whatever the floor they're going to."
Yeah.
So, is the scavenger's daughter Samantha's daughter? Is it not? You
Right.
know?
Yeah. There was a short section on that, but we didn't get
Yeah.
any sort of answers or anything.
No, no. There's a lot of like, I guess this is like a lot of the unanswered questions that we'll find out later on in the book. I don't know. I felt like I wanted at least a little bit of a battle between the war mages or
Yeah.
something like a little bit of a fight for the castle, but I think it's just they kind of just get trounced by, a juice box or something. And it just
Yeah.
kind of goes down there.
That's
And
understandable.
yeah.
A uh, big horror-filled part for me was uncovering Architect Houston's experiments. Remember when they
Mm,
got to that place and he's like experimenting with the changelings and
those people, the other crawlers, and you know.
Yeah, these weird this scientific secret that he's been trying to solve and whatever, setting off traps. They set off traps, they kill him. But what was crazy is how we see Lee Jun in the changeling creature right before he dies. So Lee Jun died.
Yeah, because he was trying to get the other god away from Donut so that she could roll the ball over or something like that, keep it busy enough to cast her spell. And yeah, Lee Jun like takes off and like tries to like with a boombox and yelling at the god to like get him away from Donut, and loses his life that way, which is kind of like really screws over Lena like mentally.
Yeah.
So,
but that's pretty much the end of part 3. So now we get to part 4.
There you go.
The peeling of Larakos. And we start here several days earlier, recounting Katya's dream of her losing her baby Annie, while Carl was watching, facing, through Mordecai's potions, and then that She Maria jump scare at the end.
Yeah.
Get taken to that. We also get a section on Rosetta, the cookbook holder. So yeah, this is where I was saying she stole the funds from King Russ to buy ships and take out the orc yacht. So I think Porthos, at this point, we see that Porthos wants them to escape the system.
I think so. Yeah. I believe that's his plan.
That's the plan.
I don't know if he's going to take the crawlers out of that system once the crawl is done. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe they need the chips for that. Maybe just grabbing, people who are done with how the system is run and getting out. Maybe that's it. And the crawl is like, well, hopefully they'll survive, but I'll shut it down. But the backup is to get everybody out of here, which is kind of what the what are the snake people called again?
Naga.
The Naga. That's what the Naga was plan was. Oh, we're gonna, she was planning on taking over all the shipyards and then like leaving the system with all her people or something like that. But can't really trust them.
Yeah. But this is the part where Nami is ejected from the god Ares. The war mage. The war mages are in like this big ball of people or whatever. And Lucia Mar enters Larakos, the Larakos Tower. And Bomo, the other mercenary, and Crawler Brett are killed. That's where, so they get into the tower. Lena gives Carl this conscription potion, this like hellish-looking demonic conscription potion, which Carl uses on Lucia Mar. Because I think Raoul the Crab was summoned to, and he had Lucia, but Carl, in this last bit of sympathy for Lucia, used the conscription potion on her and just told Raoul to, go away or whatever.
Go help the dog upstairs or whatever. Yeah. So, I mean, what do you think about the whole Lucia thing? And we always kind of knew that there was like children, that she was somehow connected to children somewhere.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just there's one body, but like all these souls of children in her. Like, I'm not quite sure how this one person's body's got all these people in it.
I don't know
what happened to the people's bodies. Like, what's going on?
They're somehow trapped. Like we see that after Rind, the little tummy acher, kills the other dog, Gus. They find out that she's got like 120,000 like
children
in her somehow. Yeah, that is wild. I think
it must be like their minds, their bodies are one place, but all their minds are kind of like in her somehow.
I hope we get more backstory on that, like in the future books, because maybe it was something to do with right before they entered the dungeon or something. I don't know. That's wild to have that many people like in a body.
And the dogs are supposed to be daycare people, but they talk to her mentally. It's like I'm very interested to see how that goes. But now both the dogs are dead, so what's going to go on now? How does this work? You know, it was okay to kill her when the dog was there, but not to kill her now. I don't really quite get it. I think it's gonna there's gonna be more information on that soon. You know, this ties up a lot of other loose ends and other fight stuff, but
where we get also more questions because of Lucia Marr, and then we find out that Agatha is removed as a warlord of the rebellion.
Somehow she's gone to the next level already. You know, it's interesting. I'm interested to see how this all pans out. Whose team Agatha's on? You know, does she want to just kill everybody like Carl could have? You know, like the fuse, blow up the sun, that kind of thing, or does Agatha want to do something else? Whose team is she really on?
Yeah, some questions there. But Donut gets a tattoo of a dog.
Donut gets a tattoo of a dog. Oh my god, she was choked.
Oh, she's
so
choked.
Funny.
Yeah,
just shaving the cat. Oh,
yeah. But she also gets that war crime spell, which is pretty. It's pretty cool, man. Combining the concept of combining two spells to create like this glorious thing. The two spells are gonna do what they do, but it's gonna be glorious.
Yes,
that's what the AI says.
AI is gonna make it. Well, you can put whatever two spells you want, but I'm gonna make it great. You know,
yeah.
So.
But I think she uses it to like form this huge ethereal paw and just like smack people through this net like jelly almost. That was brutal.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Slap chopped them.
Yeah.
They described how a cat bats things pretty well. Where it's just like bat bat bat.
That's right.
So, yeah.
But right after that, it's like she gets 2 celestial boxes. She becomes the strongest crawler in the history of the game at level 135. And just for context, Carl is level 81. Lena is 87. And Prepotente is 100. Carl's slagging behind now. He's 81. So
not enough murder.
That's wild.
Too much commanding from the back. Usually he's like the front man, but he's really kind of like taking a step back in this one. It's been like a leader.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Warlord Akuma is of the War Mages. I think he talks about wanting Carl to kill Agatha at that point.
Yeah.
Right before they leave, the War Mages leave.
They're on this. It was a weird thing where it's kind of like how Juicebox and Ferdinand what's his name? Is that right? Ferdinand? Yeah. Like she needed Ferdinand to be, because he was like from Earth, to kind of like be the dungeon master, or the dungeon. Sorry, not dungeon master. The warlord. You needed him to be the warlord to get the warlord menu. I think that was the kind of thing. Same thing with Agatha. They needed Agatha to be the warlord menu person because she's from the planet, but they were not happy with all the things that she did. I don't know. There's a lot of unanswered questions there.
Yeah, with Agatha specifically, it's like I have no idea what's going on. So
no, not a clue. It's hard. I can't really make any judgment calls on this one. Like on the past books, we're able to kind of like, I think this might happen, or I think this might happen.
Yeah,
it's very much like this is a thing, and there's no lead up or anything like that. I can't really tell what's going to go happen. I can't like make any. It's very much like, I guess we'll find out.
Yep. Yep. What did you think of Louis being rescued and then they like swap his organs for like fish gills or something, and he goes through it, man.
Yeah, I mean he's changed so much mentally and physically, and just another thing on the pot, right? All these crawlers are getting it, and to get the rebreather from like that he's stolen off the Kuatine that Carl killed, I like that though. I like how the book kind of like stacks things in, and like he must have crazy stack of notes, just all the items that people have, all the skills and abilities, and different characters and all their abilities to kind of make everything line up properly. It's got to be
Matt Dinniman with the notes. I can imagine.
I mean, he's probably got like red string here all around his room.
Yeah, just like that meme.
It's like a murder scene in there. It's like, oh my god.
I thought it was a really interesting moment how when Samantha reveals she may have had a hand in killing Gayron, who is Ambros's son.
Oh yeah, out loud.
And so now you're like, oh my gosh, there's going to be more with Samantha and Ambrose because Carl worships Ambrose, and then Ambrose appears, right?
He's
He's
just like,
why
why did you
that?
say that? The whole it's exactly what you're saying. That his outbursts
Yeah.
are so funny. It's like,
Yeah.
ah.
So he just appears. He's about to wreck shit up. And interesting, Carl I think he let Donut swallow the Ring of Divine Suffering.
Yes, he
He
did.
got rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
And he let her swallow it.
Yeah, because he has that power to eat magical items now from the knee pads that Kadia gave. Yeah, so that's
yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, he kind of does a thing where it's like, it's like that, Carl, you're scaring me thing, and it's like, okay, well, maybe I don't need this. I don't need to be scaring her. I don't need that in my life anymore. I don't need to take vengeance in that way anymore. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, but at that point, I mean, it's just the Princess Posse and the NPCs left, and then Juicebox and Ferdinand leave for the 12th. The Princess Posse wins, faction wars, and everybody's leaving. So Justice Light, and Juicebox, they have their own plan thing they have going on, and they leave. But like you said, like we mentioned, Justice Light stays behind and drops his traps and ends up dying. Go ahead.
I guess before that is finally, I guess, the ending of the Kadia storyline.
Right. Kadia takes the Lotus item that she had because they're in a bit of a rush now, and she chooses to get pregnant.
Yes.
And chooses Louis as the father, interestingly enough.
Had to be a human, and I mean, Carl's an alpha.
Carl's a primal, right?
Primal, sorry, not an alpha. Primal.
Carl's a primal.
Yeah, and yeah.
And
her boyfriend
she leaves. That was interesting because that was like a hasty. They had to get it done. It was hasty. There was no long drawn out time for a goodbye. It's just like, this needs to be done. All right, bye, and then that's it.
What do you think? What do you think about her when she turned back? She had to turn back human to go back and be pregnant. What do you think about that? Like all the body parts missing, missing ear, arms, legs, hand.
That was crazy. Yeah.
Because it's like the fingers she lost in like the railroad one. It's just kind of like she just kept losing body parts because she was kind of like this amorphous blob kind of creature. But like if she loses a part of herself, she could lose her actual human parts of herself.
Yeah,
so
that was brutal.
Yeah,
you saw that at the end. You're like, oh my gosh, that was a bit of a gut punch.
Oh yeah.
But I'm glad Kadia's out. I'm glad she got out because I felt so bad for her. She just went through so much, and you got so much of her backstory.
And I guess she finally was able to get pregnant, and she wasn't able to get pregnant before. So,
right.
It's kind of, that's a nice thing for her, I guess. She gets something out of this.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of worked out. Things worked out. They had a plan, and it followed through, thankfully.
They killed another god there too at the end. It's kind of nice. The whole Kadia story thing, right?
Right. Yeah. So but that's basically the end. That's basically the end. They enter the stairwell, and next level is the 10th.
So, which is supposed to be they kind of hint at it being, they hinted at being like some sort of like kart racing or like some sort of racing thing. Okay. Kind of guessing Mario Kart.
Style.
And I'm not 100% sure. A little double dash.
That would be super interesting. Yeah.
I mean, this is to see how they do that.
Yeah.
But we forgot this other part.
There is an epilogue.
I'll let you go on for that. What do you think?
In the epilogue, we start off with York, who is another cookbook holder. He's the one that took out the orc yacht. He's the one. He kind of feels bad for killing those orc children, right?
Kinda.
Yeah.
He kind of just wants to feel something. Just kind of like, oh, oof, he's so dumb. He's just writing poetry and just wants to, gone a little bit sociopathic from all of the things he's been through in his life.
Yeah, that's tragic. But he does coordinate with Boomer about bringing the war out of the dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I think I mentioned this in one of our much earlier chats, is I knew that this whole plot, this whole situation would go out of the dungeon at some point. And I
Mm-hmm.
said I don't think they'd even make it to the last floor. I think
Yeah, I don't know.
that's what I said. So
We'll see how. I mean, maybe it's just I could imagine the AI making just Carl go to the end, just for its own entertainment.
That's interesting.
But we'll never know. Only Matt Dinniman knows.
We will find out. We'll see.
But I was gonna say there's one other thing there that
yeah. There's a couple other things.
Oh, a couple other things. Which one do you want to do first?
We got Carl meeting with Quasar.
Mm-hmm.
He gets some offers. He declines them all.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right. And Donut separately got some offers, declined them all. But we find out that Donut's lawyer is Carl's new wife.
Yes. Now I remember when I was telling you the Chaos God, there's 3 things. One of them was like, oh, congratulations on your marriage.
Right. Yeah.
Because he's like, married to somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works. I don't know if I missed something in an earlier book and I got to go back and maybe he said something to somebody. Oh, if I do this, then we'll be married or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
that threw me for a loop.
Oh, yeah.
Her name is, she's a princess, actually. Princess Chandra Esquire. So,
Esquire. Yeah.
Not sure.
It's because he killed the king or queen of something. Now he takes the daughter as a prize.
I don't know. I don't know. That's interesting. It does make me want to go back and see if there's any hinting at it.
Yeah, I wonder. We don't even know what race she is. If she,
yeah, that's wild.
Maybe she's an orc.
I don't know. Carl's married. He's got a wife.
Apparently.
We'll see. We'll see what happens there. But the very last part was the way station part that you mentioned, Xander. Mm-hmm. He's being affected by this embargo that's happening in the system, and he talks. It's funny hearing him talk to Uzi Jesus, this little robot boy thing, right?
Another great character.
Yeah,
good character design.
And that's where Ares, the goddess of chaos, you find out she's out in the world and she kills Xander, and that's basically how it ends.
So, but I mean, she's already that far out, so that's how far the AI is spread. You know, how much farther is it going to go? Is it going to affect the other AI? Is it,
very big, very wild cliffhanger. And I don't know
where. I just wonder when book 8's going to come out.
Yeah.
How is it going to be longer than this one?
Oh man, we'll see if we get longer and longer. Usually books get longer and longer, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll get more, more ideas to put to page.
The book will definitely be out before the audiobook, so we'll have to wait longer for the audiobook.
I know that. I mean, you can't beat, the audiobook stuff that goes on.
It'd be Jeff Hayes, man.
Yeah. And all the times where Donut and Carl was startled, he kind of overlaps the voices a little bit.
Right.
So it kind of sounds like they're both getting startled.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff like that.
Audiobook is the way to go here, for sure.
If you don't do the audiobook, you're gonna miss out on Prepotente screaming in your ear. So
yeah. That's right. So that's it for book 7. Still one of my top series. Super excited for book 8. Can't wait to see where it goes. And it was just interesting how we handled this whole Faction Wars level 9 thing. So I'm glad we finally got that.
Yeah, it was your heart was racing most of the time. You're kind of constantly stressed out.
Yeah.
Throughout this book, not a lot of the ha-has, but they sprinkle them in there quite a bit. Yeah. Still a little bit between the darkness, a little bit of happiness, a little bit of funny. The great book.
Absolutely. And we'll definitely be back for whenever book 8 comes out. We did have to take a break from our current series to get to book 7, but we'll be going back to that now.
Mm-hmm. It's always fun to do a new book too that neither of us have read.
That's right.
Absolutely. Really bounce back and forth off each other.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. No, this was great. I mean, I wouldn't personally, not one of the strongest entries for me. I just had a lot more fun with some of the previous books, but still fantastic. Still, love being with these characters, love the narration, love where the story is going. And can't wait.
What do you rate this one?
I'd probably give it a 4.5.
4.5 out of 5?
Yeah. Which is really saying something because every other book has been 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first one that hasn't been 5 stars for me. So
yeah, I get that. I mean, there was a couple of points where I'm like, if there's any other audiobook, I'd probably put this down for, a day and then go back to it.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's a lot.
Yeah.
And you gotta focus really hard on this book. And it's like, okay, no, I'll just push through it, But it was, probably, I probably kind of get what you're saying. Probably like a 4.5.
Yeah.
Kind of up in that range.
Four is completely understandable.
I mean, if it wasn't for Jamal, it would be a 5 stars.
I just have bias towards the series. I love the series so much.
I think it's a little bit of that too. I mean, like there's definitely tougher books to read out there. It wasn't a drag, There's constantly stuff going on. You're just kind of like gotta try to remember. All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
This guy. Yeah. Oh yeah, this guy. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
we will see everybody soon. This is going to come out before our chat on Morgana, so I might have messed up the numbers there, but this is episode 15. Morgana will be 16. And we'll be going back to Everybody Loves Large Chess. Thank you, everybody, for watching this episode, and we will, of course, see you in the next one. Thank you, Nick, for joining, as always.
My favorite series, so
yeah,
definitely.
We'll see everybody next time. Take care.
On.